everybody, welcome to today's battle report, which was a 4,500 point game between myself and my buddy Silas. Silas is playing the Dwarven Holds and I'm playing the Dread Elves, so let's get into deployment. Okay, so here we are in deployment then. We got map number 5. The game type was counter thrust. That's the one where you deploy and your opponent has to deploy 20 inches away. And the secondary objectives were capture the flags. So I've chosen to capture the flag on this marksman unit and these two Forge Warden units here. Silas has gone for 3 of my 4 auxiliary units here. Silas has also got 4 grudges because he's got a king on a war throne and something else that gives him another one. I can't remember what. But anyway, he's decided to put 4 of those 4, 3 on my Hydras and 1 on my general here. So let's just talk you through the lists then. We'll start at the bottom left with Silas. So he's got a great big unit of marksmen here. Then another unit of marksmen here, catapults, Forge Wardens here, smaller unit of Forge Wardens here. Then he's got his king, his Thane BSB, and a Runic Smith with a great big unit of King's Guard and another catapult here. On my side, 3 Hydras, a Captain on a Pegasus, an Oracle on a Pegasus, 5 Dark Riders, unit of 5 Harpies, 5 Harpies, 5 Harpies, 4 units of 10 auxiliary repeaters, and 2 hunting chariots. There you go, that's deployment. Let's crack on with Vanguards. Okay, so here we are in Vanguards then. And I've made the unusual decision not to Vanguard my Dark Raiders, basically because I don't want to bring them into making them an easy target for these marksmen. Right now they're just out of weapons range on the marksmen, so I elected to leave them there to force Silas to either not shoot or suffer penalties with his unwieldy weapons. So I've not vanguarded. Silas has vanguarded here with his Forge Wardens. He caught me unawares a little bit here, if I'm honest. I'd forgotten that Forge Wardens have Vanguard, and what I'd actually done was deploy my auxiliaries 23 inches, my back rank 23 inches away from his auxiliaries, and I was hoping to use my longer range to get a couple of turns of shooting and, you know, sort of step back. I was hoping to outrange him, but he's got the Vanguard there that I'd forgotten about, so fair play to him. So there you go, that's Vanguards. Okay, so this is Silas's turn 1 then, and you can see that he's elected to move forwards. That's, of course, the right decision, because poor shooting is better than no shooting. So he's moved his unit of marksmen up here, and he's moved this unit up here, because the Hydras were out of reach too. Similar sort of story over here, moving forwards with his blocks over here, but making sure that he's still getting some shooting as well. There you go, that's Silas's movement 1. Okay, end of Silas's turn 1 here then. He got the Rune of Resolve, which is a 6-inch magical move, off on his marksman here. So they've moved a little bit further in the magic phase. Then he got 1 wound with his long range shooting on my Oracle. And he did 6 wounds on a unit of auxiliaries here with his Forge Wardens, and 1 wound on this chariot here. I think with his Forge Wardens, could have been with a catapult, not sure. Anyway, so just a couple of wounds here for the end of turn 1. Okay, so end of my movement 1 here then, and you can see I've done several things that are really stupid straight away. The first thing I've done that's really stupid is drop my Oracle here, thinking that the field of vision will be blocked for these marksmen. It won't. Don't know what I was thinking, But it was, for me, in my defence, it was 6:30 in the morning. I'm in China, Silas is in the US, so we're playing 12 hours apart. So I was, morning brain. So anyway, that's why the oracle's there. I've realised something else that's stupid that I've done. I've forgotten that water features don't block marches when I deployed, so I've shaved a couple of inches off my Hydra's advance on this unit over here. I've noticed that his Forge Wardens are in the way of his Kingsguard from charging, so I've backed my units off here to prevent a theoretically possible charge so that the Forge Wardens can't, fail a charge and clear the path for the Kingsguard. But the third really stupid thing I've done is completely fail to consider the fact that this small unit of Forge Wardens could charge my chariots. So yeah, morning brain there, but never mind. Other than that, as I said, backing off over here, keeping the harpies for use later, and just dropping the captain here. He's going to make a beeline for the catapult later. So that's the end of my movement 1. Okay, so end of my turn 1 here then. Not a lot happened in the magic phase. I managed to get altered sight off on the marksman just to reduce the effectiveness of their shooting. My chariots between them did 1 wound on this catapult, and my auxiliaries between them did 4 wounds on the Forge Wardens. So a bit like Silas, not a particularly exciting turn 1. There you go. Let's get on to Silas's movement 2. Okay, Silas's movement 2 here then. You can see the small unit of Forge Wardens has charged the chariot here. And then he's moved his Kingsguard ready to go through the gap here. He's obviously heading in this direction for the secondary objectives. And I think that's it actually for his movement 2. Okay, so this is the end of Silas's turn 2. He didn't get much done in his magic phase. I don't think he cast anything actually. Shooting, I got away with a single wound on my Oracle, which was really lucky. By rights, the Oracle should be dead because I'd played her so badly. But there you go, got away with just the 1 wound. The Forge Wardens over here absolutely demolished this unit of auxiliaries that were there. So Silas is up on the secondary objectives here now. He's got 1 of my 3. And then he also did a wound on this chariot here with 1 of his catapults. The Forge Wardens demolished the chariot that was here and elected to stay where they were. Silas made a mistake here. I don't think it made a massive difference, but he left me on his flank when what he could have done, of course, was reform so that when I charge him out, if I charge him, which obviously I will, I would be on his front. So small mistake there, but nothing to worry about too much. So that's the end of Silas's turn 2. Okay, so we are into my movement 2 here then, and you can see I've got a couple of charges in. My chariot has charged the Forge Wardens here, and my captain has made his, I think it was a Swift Striding 7 or a Swift Striding 8 onto this catapult, so he's in there. I charged with the Hydra over here. Silas elected to hold. I charged again. He elected to stand and shoot. I should have seen at that point, because he only did 1 wound. I should have seen that I should have left it there, but I got greedy and charged with the 3rd Hydra, which was silly because actually I don't think the 3rd Hydra would have been necessary to win the combat anyway, so I could have left it there, but I didn't. I chose a 3rd charge, which was a mistake, and Silas elected to flee. So then he's headed off this way. He's fled a good distance as well. So my Hydras have all failed the charge. So that's a mistake on my part. I've dropped a unit of Harpies here because I expect to smash through the Forge Wardens and go off the board here. And I don't want Silas to be able to charge this unit of auxiliaries here, because this is going to give him another secondary objective, so that these harpies are here so that when the chariot's out of the way, you can't Silas can't get into position with these auxiliaries. Is the idea there? So there you go. That's the end of my movement 2. Okay, end of my turn 2 here then, and I've had a fairly poor magic phase. I've failed to cast Touch the Heart, which only needed 6 on 3 dice, so I was quite disappointed with that. Silas has then dispelled my attempt to ice and fire, and he's devoured my Altered Sight, which means I get Altered Sight on this unit, making their shooting less effective, but I'm not going to get it again after that. In the shooting phase, I did 5 wounds from shooting between my 3 auxiliary units on the Forge Wardens, who held in their panic check, as you would expect, with a king and a BSB nearby. And then the chariot smashed through the Forge Wardens here, as you would expect. So we're level again on secondary objectives. My captain did 4 wounds on the catapult here, but it still has 1 left, and it's steadfast, and it held. So there you go. That's the end of my turn 2. Okay, we are into Silas's movement 3 here then, and you can see he's charged the Furies, which he's got to do to get rid of them, otherwise they're just going to harass him all game. And he's done a reform on his unit here. I can't remember whether this is a swift reform or not. I think he's got a musician in there. It would make sense that he would have, but I'm not sure. Anyway, the only other thing that happened in his movement phase was that the marksman down here in the bottom left rallied. So that is the end of Silas's movement 3. Okay, so this is the end of Silas's turn 3 then. And he's got Rune of Resolve on the Forge Wardens, and he's brought them forwards here, obviously planning to sort of engage my auxiliaries in combat, which he should, quite easily win. I think he didn't realise, though, that when my repeater crossbows are at short range, they're at +1 to hit. So he's actually done me a favour coming forwards, but never mind. Apart from that, the King's Guard, as you would expect, took out the Harpies with no trouble whatsoever. And in Silas's turn, the captain over here finished off the catapult. So that is the end of Silas's turn 3. Okay, end of my movement 3 here then. And you can see I've dropped a unit of Harpies in front of this unit so that it can't make any charges at my big unit. I wondered whether Silas would charge his Thane out, because his Thane could have made a solo charge, and he should do fairly well against 5 auxiliaries on the against 10 auxiliaries on the flank. But if he doesn't, then he's gonna, if he doesn't kill them in one go, he's gonna be exposed. So I guess that's why Silas didn't do that. So anyway, unit of Harpies there. With the Hydras, I've not charged because I didn't want him playing the same trick and fleeing again. So what I've decided to do is bring all 3 up and triple breath weapon them. So I'm expecting to put a nice big dent in this unit. And then what I figured was, he's going to get around to shooting on me anyway. His shooting isn't going to hurt me that much. If I get right up close to him, he can only really converge fire properly on the middle one, which has only lost 1 wound. So I'll get right up in his face, and he won't get a stand and shoot because I'll be too close to him, was what I was thinking. So I've gone for a bit of a frontal assault there, if you like. And then my captain is making his way over here for the second catapult. So there you go. The only other thing to mention, I should make mention of it, is that my BSB has jumped over here into this unit because Silas has done a lot of damage to this unit earlier in the game. So that's the end of my movement 3. Okay then, so we're on to the end of my turn 3 here. In the magic phase, I'd managed to finally cast a spell against Silas, which was a revelation, and I got Touch of the Heart on my Oracle, so I've undone some of the damage there. The crossbows performed quite poorly, only inflicting 5 wounds on the Forge Wardens, but 5 was just enough to generate a panic test. And they failed a double leadership 10, which was absolutely shocking. That was bonkers. That just shouldn't happen. So I did feel sorry for Silas there. Yeah, that was the end of that, really. Silas also very graciously allowed me to bring my chariot on, which I'd forgotten because I should move it on. But it didn't do anything in the shooting phase. So yeah, they panicked and ran this way. And then the Hydras inflicted 11 wounds on the marksman over here, but they passed their panic test. So that was the end of my turn 3. Okay, so we are into Silas's movement 4 here then, and only 2 things have happened. He's charged the unit of Harpies over here, and he's rallied with his Forge Wardens here, but elected to stay facing the Dark Raiders so that they don't charge him in the rear. So there you go. That is it. That's all of Silas's movement turn 4. Okay, so this is the end of Silas's turn 4 then. And he hasn't done anything in the magic phase. I think, to be fair, he's not played his Runic Smith optimally because he's got his Runic Smith on the far side of this corner unit. Sorry, the far side in the corner on the far side of this unit, which means its spells are out of range for everything else in his army. So the only spell he could cast was the rune of, let me check my notes here, rune of resilience, which he attempted, which I dispelled. Everything else in his army list wasn't applicable. So that was that. And then in shooting, he did 6 wounds from this unit of marksmen here on this unit of auxiliaries here. Smashed through the Harpies, as you would expect, and reformed. The Forge Wardens couldn't shoot because they just rallied, but the marksman over here did 1 wound on the Hydra. So that was the end of Silas's 4. Okay, so we're into my movement 5 here then, and there was no way that the Hydras were going to fail their charge this time. And I figured to myself, you know what, if I run all the Hydras over here in turn 4, they're not going to do anything else in the game. So what I've actually elected to do is go in with 2 Hydras who should make fairly easy work of a unit of 10 or 11 marksmen. And then with the other Hydra, I decided to peel off and head in this direction here. So what I'm thinking is turn 4, turn 5, charge on 6. So that's what's going on over there. Captain has made it into combat with the catapult over here. And I've dropped another unit of Harpies in front of the Kingsguard here, so that they can smash through them, and my secondary objective unit can kind of run away here a bit, is the idea. Although, to be fair, they'll probably get shot to pieces, but still. I'm quite happy with the Harpies game over here, because this unit is like 1,000 and something points. And the only thing it's killed in the game is 3 units of Harpies, which cost 405. So I'm perfectly happy with that there as it is. So that's the end of my movement. What are we on? Movement 4. Okay, so end of my turn 4 here then. I probably should mention actually that my 1 Dread Legionnaire here made a run into the ruins, because Silas has got to take out both of these 2 units here to equal on the secondary objective. So I thought, I'm not going to make that easy for him. I'm going to go and hide in the ruins. It is a dangerous terrain test for me, but he passed his dangerous terrain test, good man. So he's in there. Anyway, what happened in my turn 4? Well, I got no spells off because I failed to cast a 7+ on 3 dice again, and then I failed to cast a 12+ on 4 dice. These are both with the Wizard Master. So that was annoying, but my auxiliaries made up for it by killing the Forge Wardens that were here. So I'm ahead now on the secondary objectives, and even more so because the 2 Hydras over here smashed through the marksmen who fled and were caught. So that was really good. And then my captain took out the chariot. Sorry, not the chariot, the catapult. Now, I wasn't sure whether I cheated here or not, thinking back on it, but what I did was come in this way, and it doesn't have a front facing, so I can connect with it wherever I like, was the way I understood it. So I decided to connect with it here so that I could overrun this way. Please tell me if I've got that wrong. You will see in the next turn. In the remaining video, it doesn't make any difference to the outcome of the game. But do let me know if I've made a mistake there. So yeah, there you go. That's the end of my turn 4. Okay, so this is, I think, the end of Silas's 5. I think I've missed the photograph for his turn 5. But anyway, all that happened was, in his movement phase, was that he charged the Harpies, which, of course, in the end of his turn, he completely destroyed. But that's what they're there for. And in his turn, the marksman here killed the unit of auxiliaries that was kind of hanging around here. So he's pulled back another point on the secondary objective, so that the survival of this one guy now here, which is one of my capture the flag units, is quite a big deal, because that will either cause us to draw on the secondary objectives or for me to win it if he survives. So there you go. That's the movement and end of turn for Silas's 5. Okay, so this is the end of my movement 5, and you can see that my chariot has pulled off a flank charge on the side of these marksmen here, and the Hydra has pulled off a charge on the rear of the marksman. And I'd made these charges so that if Silas fled, then my Dark Raiders who were here would then be able to chase him and possibly maybe even run him off towards the edge of the board. But anyway, he elected to hold, so double charge in there. I've left the Hydras here because there's nothing more they can do, and they've done their job. They've killed one of the big units, and I've moved my my guys up here. I actually took 4 wounds from my dangerous terrain here in the ruins, but the one that was important was the marked unit. He dashed across the ruins and didn't fail his dangerous terrain, which means that this unit can't charge him because he's not in their arc of vision anymore. So that's really important. So that's the end of my movement 5. Okay, so end of my turn 5 here then, and I got touch the heart off on my chariot, because I thought, you know what, if he does a couple of wounds on it, he could decimate it. But anyway, he didn't do any wounds on it. But then when the Hydra and the chariot broke the marksman and chased after them, the chariot caught them, but ended up going into the dangerous terrain and lost the wound that was recovered. So there you go. That was that. And that was the entirety of my turn 5, because there was nothing else to shoot at. That's not true. The Dark Raiders took a few shots at the Kingsguard and they all pinged off their 3+ armor save, so that was pointless. So there you go. That's the end of my turn 5. Okay, so this is Silas's movement 6. He can't charge my my guy in the ruins, so he's just reformed in case I were to rear charge him. I would not do that to a great big unit of Kingsguard, because they would absolutely destroy me. The only things I could charge them with would be a chariot and a unit of Dark Raiders, which would get killed. So I said to Silas, you know what, I'm not going to cast any magic, I'm not going to shoot anything, because, I mean, what am I going to do? Kill a couple of Kingsguard, perhaps. I'm not going to generate a panic test, the unit is enormous. And even if I do, they've got leadership 10 with a reroll, which could fail, as we've seen, but highly unlikely. So we called the game there and ended it there. Silas had done 1,305 points, having killed 2 auxiliaries, decimated another, taken out the harpies and a single chariot. I got 2,464, having killed his marksmen, his forge wardens, his catapults, and something else maybe. Anyway, 2,464. So that was a difference of 1,159, which is a 14-6. But then I've won the secondary objectives with the survival of my one Dread Legionnaire. Yes, well done him. So that 14-6 becomes a 17-3. At the start of this game, I have to be honest, I looked at Silas's army list because we send each other lists beforehand, and I wasn't that scared of it. I knew roughly how I was going to play this from the start. And my game plan was always to avoid the big block and cut out everything else. And I feel I've done that successfully. I did make several mistakes in this game. I forgot the Vanguard on the Forge Wardens, even though it was written in Silas's list, so that's entirely my fault. In the first turn, my Oracle also took a catapult shot, which did hit, but actually rolled a 1 and failed to wound. That was entirely my fault because I forgot to realise that it had a 30-inch range, not a 24, because of the upgrade. Again, my fault. And then the way I played my Oracle again after that and allowed a bunch of shooting on her, she deserved to die. I did not deserve to have an Oracle through this game. I also made mistakes with the water and cut out some of my Hydra's movement. And then there was the small unit Forge Wardens against my Chariot, which I just gifted to Silas. So a whole bunch of mistakes in this game. Silas, I think, made a few mistakes as well. The main thing is his great big block has to take out. It's got to do 1,000 points of damage. If it doesn't, then it's just not making its points back. And in order to do that, he has to take out my chaff. He just has to. But he didn't, so I was able to drop harpies in front of him, which took that big unit out of the game. He also made a mistake, I think, when he blocked in his own Kingsguard with his Forge Wardens, which allowed my chariots to get up his flank, and then allowing my chariot to get my second chariot to get a flank charge on the Forge Wardens when he could have reformed out of that. But I don't think it would have made a massive difference, to be honest. So yeah, there you go. That was the end of the game, which I played bonkers early in the morning, and Silas clearly played after a long day at work. So neither of us at our best, but very enjoyable nonetheless. So that's it for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not subscribed, then do please subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.